Well, hello and welcome to the next episode of Stillwood on Location. This week we are at the Waterfall. Very original name, I know. I love coming down to this place with my kids and just having them experience such a cool location. Although due to the fact that the trail on the way up is mostly just a big long staircase, it's often slow going and many a time I have an extra burden on my back or in my arms. Thinking about this waterfall also got me thinking about another waterfall that I've been to. It's called En-Gedi, and it's an oasis waterfall in the desert wilderness of Israel. And aside from being an oasis in the middle of a desert, we also find significance in it in other ways as well. It is thought that it's at this location, at En-Gedi, that David hid for a while. Now, many of us may know the story of David as a young youth who was told that he would be king and his subsequent battle with Goliath and his defeat of him. And at that time, Saul was king, rightly so, and he was king for a long time after that as well. And as David grew older and older, his reputation grew as well. And Saul didn't like that. Saul didn't like that at all. He was quite threatened by David. And it wasn't long before Saul starts actively hunting David down in an attempt to eliminate him and the threat that he poses to him. And it's during this time that it's thought that David sought refuge at En-Gedi. It's also during this time at En-Gedi where it's thought that David wrote some of his psalms. And one of those psalms was Psalm 57. And in this psalm, David talks to God about the struggles that he's going through and the difficulties that he's facing. But he doesn't stop there. Like Habakkuk, who we talked about last time, he goes beyond that. And so in the psalm it says this. It says, I will praise you, O Lord, among the nations. I will sing of you among the peoples. May your glory be over all the earth. And in Habakkuk, he talks about his trust in God, and then he goes beyond that and says, but God, you're also my joy, and in you I rejoice. And in David, we see him not just saying how much he trusts God, but he also wants to shout out to the world his goodness. And David's running for his life right now. He's hiding from the dangers of an army that's seeking him. He's hiding out from the dangers of the wilderness, and yet his desire is to shout out how good God is. And the challenge for us is that we can get really caught up in the negatives, especially now, because quite frankly, there are a lot of negatives. But we see examples in Scripture of people who not only find that they trust God in times of difficulties, but they go beyond that. And they shout out how good he is to the world. They talk about how much they find joy in him. And so our challenge is to take a step back from where we're at and to be able to find a place where we not only trust in God, but we're actually also able to find ourselves in a place where we find joy in him despite the circumstance, and we can shout out to the world how good he is. And it's a difficult thing to do, but I think it's something we're called to do. In the words of some Switchfoot lyrics, I want to thrive, not just survive. And my hope for you is that in the midst of all of this, you don't just simply survive, but you also find a way to thrive and find how good God really is. Now, since the beginning of all of this, Jon Foreman, the lead singer of Switchfoot, has been releasing videos of himself singing at home, some of his songs, some covers, things like that. And a couple days ago, he did the song that I just referenced, and I'll put the link in the description below. I encourage you to check it out. I think it's a very apt song for the time. I will also be putting up 360-degree photos of the locations that I've been to. I did the cold tubs for last week. I'll do the waterfall. You can find that on Google Maps. I think you could also find it by using the app Google Street View. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. And also, for the record, I do believe the water this time around is closer to 2 or 3 degrees.